Hey, what's up? This is Josh and Josh, and you're listening to the Black and White Podcast, episode 2. This is actually our second recording of it because I accidentally paused the recording last time we recorded and never resumed it. So we didn't record an entire episode, but we talked it out. So this is take 2. So we have a lot to talk about today. It was a really good week 1 of football. A lot going on. We'll even talk about the Thursday night game as well. But some of the news that's been going around lately, Allen Robinson, one of the best receivers in football in my opinion. He's kind of holding out because of the contract dispute.
Yeah, just wants to make some more money.
Yeah, and he did request a trade. I'm not sure. I mean, we're all just kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, he took all of his stuff off of social media just to be a little bit dramatic, but from what we're seeing, it seems like they're going to get a deal done soon, though, probably. So
yeah, I would imagine he'll stay there. I'd be kind of surprised if he ends up getting traded, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. He's a great receiver, and if the Bears can get him locked down, then they will definitely be a better team for it.
Yeah. So there were also a lot of injuries this week.
Oh, there were. Yeah. We've got Devontae Parker who's questionable this week in Miami.
Wow.
That'll be definitely a big loss to Ryan Fitzpatrick if he doesn't have him, or maybe it's Tua time in Miami.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
And me as well. And then we have A.J. Brown is out for Tennessee this week.
That's
always
a pretty big loss, because he's a very good wide receiver.
Definitely a big blow for them. They have to kind of make up for the passing. Hopefully Derrick Henry can just carry the load the rest of the way there.
Yeah, that's what they're going to have to hope for.
Yeah. Chris Godwin's doubtful against Carolina.
That's a big one.
Their depth is definitely being tested with Mike Evans also back and forth about injuries, and he's always kind of
like you never know with him. Yeah. He's one of those players, so that could definitely be a big
loss for them. Tom Brady's gonna have to just lead him on his own, basically. 40-year-old man.
But I mean, he does take little known receivers and make them great, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he develops other younger receivers.
Yeah, for sure.
Jack Doyle's out for the Vikings game, which is a big loss for Indianapolis. They losing him. Philip Rivers is a very tight end heavy quarterback. Really likes to get it to him a lot, so definitely a big loss.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Miles Sanders is actually good news. Miles Sanders is 100%. They said that the Eagles just wanted to rest him. They got him rested for a week, even though they took that big old L to the Redskins. They still they'll have him for this game, which is good.
This is the name I was waiting for you to get to because he's on my fantasy team, and I'm very excited for him, and I'm happy that he's healthy now, and Boston Scott will not screw me in fantasy this week.
Yeah, he's good to go against the Rams. Then we had Michael Thomas had that really unfortunate injury against the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's a big loss. That's like the best receiver in football. One of the best.
Saints will have to find a hole filler for that one.
Yeah, and he's not someone you can just replace. He's one of those types of people. So we'll see how they bounce back. I mean, they have a great offense, so I think they should be hopefully okay. But
he's an irreplaceable piece, but I think Drew Brees will be fine.
Yeah.
And then last night we actually had in the Thursday night football game, really unfortunate, C.J. Uzomah, the tight end, tore his Achilles.
Yeah, and you could see that thing pop.
Yeah, really could.
That was rough.
Unfortunate for him because he was kind of leading the tight end group, and now you just got Sample there. And Drew Sample. So I feel bad for Joe Burrow. He's got a really thin tight end group.
And then A.J. Green is always getting injured, so it's probably going to happen at some point. Hopefully not, but it's likely.
Always hope for completely healthy players for the season, but A.J. Green unfortunately has not been able to stay on the field for the season for a while. So
if he gets injured, it's just another hurdle for Joe Burrow. So
he already has to hurdle that awful offensive line that we saw last night in that loss.
Yeah, he got hit so much. The Browns' defensive line just had their way with him. But despite that, he still looked really good.
He did.
He especially for a rookie, and in that in that situation with a horrible line, it's very easy to make a lot of mistakes, and he really didn't make a whole lot of crazy mistakes. Like, he did very well.
Yeah,
and
it was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, showed a lot of signs of like greatness, and a lot of he gave the Bengals fans just a lot of reason to be excited for the future, because he could be great.
Especially if they can actually get him a line that could block for him down the road. He's not going to have to run for his life every single play. I do think that they need to kind of cut down on the designed runs. I think that he's not a Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton type player, and they're putting him in these runs, and he's just taking way too many hits for being a rookie, number 1 overall Heisman winner. They probably need to calm down on
especially with the line like that too.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm excited to see him grow, especially within our division. I feel like we're gonna have great quarterbacks, and I'm very excited for that, because there's gonna be a lot of great games and matchups down the road. But on the other side of the ball, Baker Mayfield looked pretty good last night as well. The whole offense it kind of clicked during that game, and it was great. Like, Baker wasn't throwing 50 times, like, unfortunately, like Burrow did. He threw almost 60 times. But they had a nice run pass balance. Everyone pretty much showed up.
Yeah, it was a really good balance from them. Baker got to some receivers, finally got Odell Beckham Jr. into the fray.
No Austin Hooper, surprisingly.
Yeah,
I don't
know. He
really
didn't do too much. He's just warming up, maybe, for the offense.
Yeah, but Kareem Hunt looked great, just running super angry. Definitely. Nick Chubb the same way. They're both incredible running backs.
It's 1A, 1B.
Exactly. And they're great for Baker Mayfield to have, because they help him out a lot. So it kind of made the Ravens look a lot better.
It did.
Because they're not a horrible team like we thought they might be.
Put up 35 points on the Bengals.
Yeah, so it's not...
6 against us, so...
Yeah, so they're definitely not a bad team. So I'm very curious to see how they evolve over the year, because the Browns are one of those teams that usually don't get better, but this year, who knows, it could be the year.
Yeah, we'll see if they grow and get better this year.
I hope so. So the next game we're going to talk about, the Saints-Bucks. Whereas we had 2 young quarterbacks with the Browns-Bengals last night, the Saints-Bucks, we have 2 very veteran quarterbacks, some of the best to play the game, facing off against each other. One on a new team, Tom Brady. So it was a lot of fun to watch, and it was interesting to see Tom Brady just on a different team. Like, it was just insane to see, because I never thought the day would come, but he looked a little bit lost at times. Towards the end, he started kind of piecing things together. He almost had a comeback, like, and as Tom Brady will do.
Tom
but
Brady fashion,
yeah, but there were just some like bad throws. He threw 2 picks.
The overthrow from Mike Evans.
Yeah, and according to Bruce Arians, they were both his fault. And he doesn't usually get called out, so it's interesting to see that. But from what it looked like, it was just media trying to blow it up. But yeah, it was cool seeing that. I feel like he'll get better as the weeks pass, and he'll get better as he learns the offense.
Yeah, he'll definitely get much better, I think, especially with the receivers being injured, even upcoming. He may find him hard to gel with the receiving core. Especially Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, the 2 best receivers on his team.
That is true.
It'll be interesting to see how he can gel with them. Maybe he'll favor some more receivers even when they get back.
And maybe they'll try putting Gronk more into the game because of injuries. So we'll see what happens with him. But it did look kind of like he may have lost a step, but we'll see. Yeah. It could just be the new offense. We'll see. And then Drew Brees. He looked good, but I also felt the same way. It looked like he might have lost a step. Just like he was off on some throws. He just didn't look like the classic Drew Brees that we all know and love. I mean, he did, but there were just some throws that he wouldn't normally make. Yeah. And it could just be week 1 with like a lack of training camp or whatever. So we'll see. And with Michael Thomas out, it'll definitely hurt, but yeah, it was a really good game.
Yeah, it was a great game. And we'll switch to another great game in the Chiefs and Texans. It was a great week 1 matchup. They played well in Kansas City, unveiled their banner, and they wrecked Houston and after that.
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
much of a game. Kansas City kind of just were just too good from beginning to end.
Yeah,
And Deshaun Watson's line could not protect him at all. And he just getting so many sacks. You're not going to be able to win the game if you can't stay upright. And the Texans clearly have not put enough effort into the line for Deshaun Watson.
That's one of those things that good teams will do. It's like those picks that aren't sexy, but they help out a lot, like linemen high up. It helps, especially especially for quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, like the mobile quarterbacks. Like it just opens up so many lanes for them and gives them so much more protection. So Deshaun Watson has kind of never really had a great line, I feel like.
Yeah, he's never really had anything too crazy.
Yeah, so I think if the Texans were to actually focus on that, they could really improve.
Mm-hmm.
But they just haven't. So.
Talk about Clyde Edwards-Helaire that night. He played really well. He showed a lot for fantasy owners.
I was very happy. He was my 5th overall pick of our draft, and he gave me and Chiefs fans a lot to be excited about.
He definitely did. I just like in general the Chiefs look like they're just gonna be better. Maybe even better than last year.
Yeah, it's weird to say because last year they were so good, but it looks like they're almost going to score on like every drive they have. Like if your defense gets a stop, it's a huge accomplishment. Like they're just this like super team.
Yeah, just the depth in every position.
Yeah, like they're just an incredible team, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch them and watch some of the matchups that come up. So the next game we're going to talk about is the Giants and Steelers. This is a game I was pretty excited about. It didn't go as well as I had hoped because the Steelers ended up winning in the end and did it in a fashion where they looked pretty dominant, and it was unfortunate. Daniel Jones couldn't clutch out for me.
Danny Boy should have won that game. He deserved it.
I know. So it's at least I feel like he gave Giants fans a lot to be excited about. Like he still looks good. He made some mistakes, but he's still so young.
Let's say it wasn't Saquon Barkley's best day.
Yeah, so
he had some receiving yards. He was six receptions for 60 yards, but he just didn't do much on the rushing front because the Steelers were just so dominant.
Yeah, the Steelers defense looked really good. Bud Dupree, T.J. Watt, and then of course like Fitzpatrick in the backfield or whatever.
T.J. Watt is a beast too.
Yeah. So their defense is really good, and it's better than I even like remembered it being. Because I just was thinking old like before Fitzpatrick edition Steelers, and I forgot how good that made them. But they were pretty impressive, and I'm looking forward to facing them later on in the year.
Yeah.
They're
Those should be some good games.
Yeah, Ben looked pretty good. In the beginning, he kind of looked rusty, but he eventually shook off the rust and was throwing dimes and looking great. Unfortunately, because he's very good when he's good. So it was a good game. I'm excited for both teams. I think the Giants will bounce back, and the Steelers, they'll continue to do their thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Another team that's continuing to do their thing, hopefully, is the Dolphins and Patriots. The Patriots actually won their game against Miami Week 1.
Mm-hmm.
Cam Newton had 2 rushing touchdowns. He looked like they used him more on the ground than anything. I think that for his durability, though, they may, once again, Joe Burrow maybe, looking at wanting to have him more throw maybe instead of going into direct contact where he's more of a running back going through. But New England looked good. It looked like a whole new offense. It's
a new era.
Running, but yeah, it's a new Bill Belichick era for sure.
I think Cam Newton, I forget exactly how many yards. It was around like 84, I think, rushing yards.
He had 75.
75, okay.
Yep.
That was like a franchise record for the Patriots, like for quarterbacks rushing. So it's funny to see that because it's not like that much, but it shows just how new of an era this really is for this team.
And how long Tom was there.
Yeah, exactly.
So on, really. But no, the game was very good. I'm excited to see Cam Newton in future weeks. I think that he could play well. If they throw a little bit more, could keep other teams guessing.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. And another thing that's going to keep people guessing is the result of the Patriot-Seattle game.
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I'm very excited for it. Absolutely psyched. You're going to have Cam Newton going against Russell Wilson, two amazing quarterbacks, two great minds.
Yeah, the best of the best, really. Russell Wilson is the best at what he does. Even Bill Belichick said he was underrated.
Yeah, I love Russell Wilson. He is underrated. He's a great quarterback who just doesn't get talked about like as much as he gets talked about a lot, but not nearly as much as some of the others.
As great as he is.
Yeah, and he is so good. So it's always so much fun to watch him play because he always makes literally whoever is on his team, he makes them better, and he just makes whatever works. Or whatever work. But it's going to be a lot of fun with Cam Newton on his new team, the Patriots, going up against the Seahawks and seeing the new era Patriots go up against these Seahawks.
And the Seahawks are so removed from what they were that Legion of Boom is non-existent.
Yeah, most of the people aren't on the team anymore, if any, from that era, like on the defense.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting. I think that the Seahawks will pull it out, but it's a hard choice. It really is. But I think Russell Wilson will end up doing what he has to win the game. He's MVP candidate like almost every year. I think will show why he is.
Yeah, Seattle's offensive weapons maybe a little bit too much for. Maybe I don't know though because New England's defense is still just as good as they have.
They're no scrubs. They're good. So I think it will be a very close game, but it'll be. I think the Seahawks will take it. What about you?
All right, no, I think the Seahawks will win. Obviously, you have to. I think when you make predictions off of games, it's been completely different than any other season because most of the teams in most of these states don't have fans. And for me, I'm looking at the games as a neutral site. I'm not looking at the games from home because to me, home doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
Seattle's at home, but besides the travel, there's no fans. They're at a 70 decibel rating.
Yeah.
So, still with that, I still see Seattle pulling it out. I think they're the better team. Russell Wilson has better weapons. He's just a better quarterback. No offense to Cam, because Cam is an incredible quarterback in his own right.
Sure. But Russell Wilson is just one of those
just
quarterbacks.
Another tier. Totally another tier.
Most definitely.
Some quarterbacks that are looking to get to that other tier are Washington and Arizona's quarterbacks, Kyler Murray and
two
Dwayne
great
Haskins.
Quarterbacks.
Yeah, two great quarterbacks and we're looking at week 2. Just another week 2 matchup that I'm really excited to see. The Washington football team and Arizona Cardinals were my 2 highest risers of this year, so I'm just ecstatic to see who pulls this one out.
Sure.
Kyler Murray has the additions of DeAndre Hopkins, and Kenyon Drake has really been picking it up. It's good to see his career take that next step. And Dwayne Haskins has some weapons himself with Terry McLaurin, and they have a whole running back group with Antoine Gibson and Bryce Love.
Yeah.
So they've loaded up, and with Chase Young, the Chase Young edition, he showed in that first week that he is going to be a force in the NFL week 1.
Yeah, I feel like the Redskins have kind of killed it in the draft the 2 past years. They got Terry McLaurin, who's been really incredible and is going to be a great receiver, and Chase Young, who's just an immediate impact. He immediately makes your team better, and their defense has always been kind of bad. So this is he's a great addition. So I think that they're kind of seeing the benefits from their great drafts, draft picks, because they're just growing as a team, I guess.
And they're kind of, in a whole new era because of the Washington football team logo, so they can really push this new branding image of positivity, and I really like where they're going with that.
It's kind of a perfect time because they just got a new quarterback, all these new big names there. So it's just kind of the best time to rebrand.
Yeah, it's perfect, and then they'll probably rename themselves next year. But at least for now, they kind of have a clean slate, so they can move on.
Yeah, and I think it's something that's good for Washington because they've just been kind of stuck in a rut for so many years, and I think a rebranding and all these new people can really help that city and just that football team in general.
Yeah. That being said, don't see them winning this game against Arizona.
Me neither.
I think that Arizona is just a better team. I think Kyler Murray is at that spot where he could potentially be a, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes kind of player, where he really takes this next step in his second year.
And then he's got D-Hop,
so
it's like he's got great help.
Huge, amount of help. He's still got Larry Fitzgerald there kind of helping out. So, even if he's not making a humongous impact on the field and getting loads of reps, he still is going to be able to help off the field with his maturity and knowledge. So I just see Arizona pulling that one out.
I do as well. I think they're a better team. Washington is they're getting there, like they're building, but yeah. So with that, we're gonna go into the New York Giants Chicago game. This is one that I'm really excited about because one of my favorite high-rise players this year was Daniel Jones. I feel like he could be really good. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they bounce back from a Week 1 loss. And it's going to be interesting to see how Chicago plays in this game, to see which Mitch Trubisky we get.
We getting fourth quarter Mitch, or?
Yeah, it's kind of like Joe Flacco. Like, you don't know which one version you're going to get.
Yeah.
But Mitch has so far been a lot worse than Joe Flacco. But
stick that on record.
Yeah. But Mitch shows that, like, he can be good. He just is very inconsistent. And he's got, like, Allen Robinson, and he's got good weapons.
He's got an impressive
Cohen,
group.
Yeah.
He's got Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller, and they've got a good group of tight ends there, too. So when you put that all together, it's really Mitch Trubisky's decision whether or not the offense can produce.
Yeah, and the Giants, hopefully they can get Saquon into the offense, like running like he usually does. Last week he got very contained. Sterling Shepard, maybe get him more into the game, and yeah, hopefully Daniel Jones can just bounce back and just learn from previous week or from last week and take on this game.
Yeah. So who you got?
I'm going to say the Giants. I'm going to give it to them. Yeah.
New York Football Giants.
I'm going to give it to them. I think they're going to pull it out. Daniel Jones is going to bounce back. And, yeah, we'll see. But all that's right.
All right. I think I probably would maybe disagree with you there.
Yeah.
Go with Chicago. But I think that's a really 50-50 game.
Hey, we don't agree all the time.
Both teams are very good and have the talent to do better.
Oh, most definitely.
Both of these upcoming teams, Atlanta and Dallas, have the total potential to do better as well, both with week 1 losses. So we'll see them coming up at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
That's going to be a good game.
To see that game because Dallas has a lot to prove. Every year we feel like Dallas has a lot to prove. Every single year they have the same offense and they always
so much potential, never get to it.
Every year. And I mean, really Atlanta too. Because Matt Ryan is so poor in the red zone statistically. If he could just get a little better, he would actually be able to just take the step and actually win a Super Bowl and not lose 28-3.
Yeah, that's the thing. He could never just finish. He always chokes. And he's not. I feel like he's overrated. Just because he's been good in the regular season, he can just not win in the postseason.
Yeah, he got to that one Super Bowl, but past then.
Yeah, but so we'll see how he does in this game, see if maybe Hayden Hurst can get more into the passing game. I feel like he could be decent there. He had a nice catch last week, so we'll see how he grows there.
Yeah.
And Julio Jones, if Matt Ryan would just look for him in the end zone, they would probably win a lot more games, but he never looks at them.
Yeah, he gets a lot. He had 9 receptions for 157 yards last week, but can't get
but
into the
as
end
soon as
zone
he gets into the end zone, Julio Jones becomes a ghost to him, and he just doesn't pay attention, and it has always blown my mind. But that being said, who do you have in this game?
I think I just have to take Dallas. I think Dallas has just too much talent to continuously lose. And Dallas is a solid, probably 8-8, 9-7 team this year, at least from what they showed last week against the Rams.
They have potential to probably be like a 12-4, 13-3 team, but I mean, like you said, every year it's the same story with them. Yeah. So
I'd give it to Dallas though.
Yeah, I agree. So with that, on to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my favorite segments of the show. So we had them facing off against the Browns in week 1, and we saw the Browns in week 2. Kind of helped us gauge how the Ravens actually were. Mm-hmm. We had pretty sloppy run defense, in my opinion. However, we kept the Browns to 6 points, and they just put 35 on the Bengals. So that's our defense did something right, despite us thinking they were less than what they've been in the past. And I do think that the run defense needs a lot of work, and I think that we'll get there. I think it's just a lack of preseason and whatnot. And Marlon Humphrey had a few penalties, so there's some things to clean up. But I think our defense will clean it up, and I think we'll be a few weeks into the season. We're going to be just an amazing team.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think we had so many places that we could improve, and you look at the game, and in my honest opinion, I think we left so many points out on the field. In general, we leave about 14 points out with the Ricard fumble, and then you have multiple other mistaken steps that really hurt them in general. And then the offense was
missed opportunities.
Yeah, the run defense was poor, and at times, we had our moments where we stopped them, but for the most part, our run defense was poor. So I think we have a lot to work on.
I think it was at, I think they averaged, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is what I saw, 5.7 yards a carry is the average Sunday what we allowed, which is obviously just not acceptable, especially when we're going to be going up against Deshaun Watson and David Johnson next week, and it's just obviously not acceptable.
And we've got to be better than that if we're going to play better in the next couple of days against the Texans, and we're going to Houston.
And we already saw what a poor run defense can do last year with losing to Derrick Henry. I don't think the Ravens are going to let this problem stick around. It's just not in their DNA, and they seem to always work these issues out. And Wink Martindale is a great defensive coordinator, so he'll figure it all out.
Yeah, I have full faith in them. DeCosta, we always see us make trades, and if DeCosta feels we need to make some trades, we might do that. Yeah. Maybe address that line if we need to.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Calais Campbell and Fort showed earlier why we why we traded for them. And
I still feel fully confident in them. To produce.
I'm not worried about the Ravens at all. There are just some things that they can do better with. So next week we face the Texans, and I think the Ravens will be just fine. I think that the Texans will give us a little bit of problems maybe on the ground, but I don't think it's going to be enough to ever put the game in jeopardy. So I think that we'll have another big performance where we score a lot of points on them and make them look bad despite them actually being good. Yeah. I feel like we're just going to do it again. Lamar looked amazing with his passes. He was the most accurate quarterback in the NFL with passes over 10 yards last week. Just incredible, showing another MVP performance. So I feel like they'll take care of business.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the Ravens are just too good of a team right now, and I just don't think that the Texans line is good enough in order for them to get past the hump of beating us.
Yeah, and it was cool seeing J.K. Dobbins also last week. Just wanted to hit on that real quick. It'll be interesting to see how he takes over the backfield if he does this year. Just what all
seems
if they
like
keep it split.
Snaps,
it's looking. I think he led the running backs last week with snap counts. So he might be more of an impact earlier than we thought. So we'll see. But going on to fantasy from that.
Yeah.
How was your team? Never mind. I don't have to ask how your team was. Your team destroyed me. Who was your favorite player?
Obviously, my favorite player was Christian McCaffrey. He produces every single week. He had 23 carries for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 receptions for 38 yards. He had 28.5 total points.
That must be nice.
It was nice. It was nice to see Christian McCaffrey continue to do what he does in fantasy every single season. So
When I tell you I was mad last week because of that fantasy matchup, no one on my team besides Clyde Edwards-Helaire got a touchdown. I think maybe the defense and Dak, and that was it. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire gave me a lot of hope, and he was my favorite fantasy player of the week, and I think he'll be one of my favorite fantasy players of the year, possibly a keeper next year. We'll see. Yeah. Hopefully.
Maybe.
But I picked up Malcolm Brown off the waivers because I think that he'll get an increase in carries. He looked pretty productive for the Rams last week, and I'm excited about him. We'll see how he does over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited to. I think one of my fantasy sleepers is Jamison Crowder. He's on my bench. Unfortunately, he's actually out this week. But when he is in, he had 7 receptions, 115 yards, and 1 touchdown in week 1. So we might be able to see more production from him once he's able to be fit and come back and able to get as many reps as he was in week 1.
Well, Adam Gase did just come out and say that Jamison Crowder is probably the Jets' best player in the past 2 years. So he should be pretty good this year when he's playing because it'll probably feed him the ball a lot.
And I have him in 2 of my 3 leagues.
So he's a great one. J.K. Dobbins is one of my other favorites because I think down the road he'll be a fantasy winner. Like, he'll help you win your league or help you get into the playoffs or something.
Seems like
he's
going to get even more snaps at least. Yeah. Mark Ingram isn't getting as many red zone snaps. He could be a big spot to getting more touchdowns.
Yeah, so he's a really good grab and stash and just kind of hold on until he's like fully being used. And with that, I think that pretty much concludes everything. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was obviously a day or two late that we released it just due to technical difficulties that happen when you're recording podcasts and stuff. But thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much.
It was a great week. We look forward to next week and next week's episode. And be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.